Welcome to the RYM Student Podcast, helping you fit God's truth into your life. Reflecting on biblical truth is vital for the life of the believer. We hope this podcast will encourage you in your walk with Jesus. The following was recorded at one of Reformed Youth Ministries conferences. The audio might not be clear, but the message is. We hope you enjoy it.
So let's dive into the practical now. What is our role in the body? So we're supposed to have a role in the body. We do have a role in the body, but what does that look like? So fundamentally, our role is the same as every other Christian's. We're called to love the body, serve the body, worship with the body, and be held accountable to the body. But this will play out differently than it will in our dad's life, or our pastor's life, or maybe our mom's life, or even teen guy's life. That doesn't mean that we're less than. It just means we have a different part to play. A part equally as good and worthy and strong and necessary. So let's parse these 4 ways out a little bit, and then let's talk about how we can live them out. Second, teen girls are called to worship with our church. Now, one thing we better make clear is that all of our lives should be marked by worship. I'm not saying that Sunday mornings are the only times when we should be worshiping. Not what I'm saying. But I do think that we worship in a special way on Sunday mornings when we gather to glorify our God in the context of community. So some of you know that this year is the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. And there are actually some really, really good books on the Protestant Reformation in the bookstore. You should check them out. Martin Luther, Why the Reformation Still Matters. That is a really, really good book. That was just a total side note plug. That was free. But what was at the heart of the Protestant Reformation was a radical return to the biblical view of salvation. But what flowed out of that was a return to the biblical view of worship. So the very famous Martin Luther, he was awoken to the beauty and joy of worshiping with a church. He recognized that we worship in a special way as a body, and this reaps special rewards in our lives. He said this, "At home, in my own house, there is no warmth or vigor in me. But in the church, when the multitude is gathered together, a fire is kindled in my heart and it breaks its way through." So Sunday shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't be a burden, something that we just want to get out of the way. It should be something that is rooted in delight, not duty. Most of us, a lot of us probably have to go to church because our parents make us or strongly encourage us. But true worship is not just showing up and faking our way through the motions. It's recognizing the glory and sufficiency of God and responding with praise together as a community. But that does not just happen. It does not just happen in my life. I do not have like the joyful worship switch that I can turn on and everything is great, or turn it off. If I do not prepare myself for worship, I come to worship tired or frustrated or just discouraged or depressed or so fixed on my circumstances that I am distracted from why I'm really there. So that means I need to prepare myself. For me, that starts the night before by trying to get a pretty good night's sleep. On Sunday mornings, I mentioned a couple days ago that I don't use social media on Sundays, and I found that very beneficial for my soul, especially before church. I try to spend some time, even if it's just like a couple minutes, in God's Word before I go to the service. I also like listening to some music that stokes my heart for worship, that just gets me thinking about it. So some of my favorite artists who help me do that are people like Keith and Kristen Getty, Matt Papa, Indelible Grace music, Sovereign Grace music, Shane and Shane. Now I know some families who do this thing, and they have something called a prayer road. And this is just a street that is on their route to church. And when they reach this street, they stop what they're talking about and they pray for their service and for their pastor. And this isn't like a magical, mystical road. It's just a regular road. But they're intentional about using it as a way to prepare them for worship. And I love that.
For more information on RYM student conferences, visit rym.org/conferences.